China's President Xi Jinping has just ordered his military to be ready for a Taiwan invasion as early as 2027, as revealed by the CIA. Now, I'm not sure this is going to really help the relationship between us and China, but in even more startling news, the spy balloon from the same country has now been shot down under orders of President Biden. Now, you gotta wonder, why did they wait so long to shoot it down? I thought they were worried about the debris falling down and hurting people. Former Vice President Mike Pence has insisted that a conversation about Social Security needs to be had, as these benefits are very crucial for many Americans. Do you agree that Social Security reform should be done now so that those who presently receive benefits don't need to worry, as well as those who expect to get some of these same Social Security benefits down the road? Now, before we continue, please take a second, smash the like button for the video. Totally helps out a ton with the YouTube algorithm, and it gets more eyes and ears on what's truly happening around us. Remember, there is more of us than them. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to Washington, D.C., Social Security, SSI, SSDI, global happenings, the housing market, stock market, and everything that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you own a home, make sure the biggest investment that you have is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below this video. It only takes like 15 seconds. All right, guys, just to give you guys a quick brief timeline on this whole spy balloon fiasco with China. January 28th, when it first entered the US airspace in Alaska, but by the 30th, it was in Canadian airspace. And then just the next day, it was back in Idaho. Seems to be moving through the states fine, even though China has said that they're unable to maneuver this thing. And just recently, the US military has shot down the aircraft off the coast of South Carolina, but only after it's been above our heads for like 7 days.
We got it.
Boom! Shot down. U.S. fighter jets took to the skies and with a single missile brought down the Chinese spy balloon this afternoon over the coast of South Carolina.
Why did it take so long? Especially since this is what President Biden said about it.
When I was briefed on the balloon, I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible.
The reasoning behind the long wait was that the president was advised to wait until the balloon was over water, saying that it posed a threat to people on the ground. Others have praised the decision, saying that this is how the president puts, quote, the safety and security of the American people first, end quote. Republican Representative Michael McCaul argues that the action should have been done way before that, stating this, quote, the administration should have taken care of this before it became a national security threat, end quote. So let's give some context to the balloon here. Was it small, and was our radars not able to detect it at 60,000 feet up in the air? Well, given that it's roughly the same size as 3 Greyhound buses, I find it weird as to why this wasn't detected earlier, like way earlier. The decision to take down the balloon was also met with questions from Chinese public itself, with some alleging that the United States really made a fuss about nothing. We're going to see about that since the search for debris is now underway, with the US Navy and Coast Guard working to collect pieces of the balloon. China has now responded to this by saying, quote, in these circumstances, for the United States to insist on using armed force is clearly an excessive reaction that seriously violates international convention. China will resolutely defend the legitimate rights and interests of the enterprise involved and retains the right to respond further, end quote. We're not straying away from this topic or steering away from this conversation. Vastly different from what the balloon did, as CIA Director William Burns has revealed that President Xi Jinping has now told his army, quote, to be ready by 2027 to conduct a successful invasion, end quote.
Countries are increasingly wary of China, which is continuing its military buildup. The head of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency is warning of China's intentions in the Indo-Pacific. William Burns says President Xi Jinping appears to be readying for an invasion of Taiwan by 2027.
We know as a matter of intelligence that he's instructed the People's Liberation Army to be ready by 2027 to conduct a successful invasion. Now, that does not mean that he's decided to conduct an invasion in 2027 or any other year, but it's a reminder of the seriousness of his focus and his ambition.
The Chinese president is currently serving his 3rd term in office. It expires in 2027. Burns said Xi is closely watching Russia's invasion of Ukraine and is likely unsettled and a little sobered by the performance of the Russian military.
He also added, quote, on Taiwan, I guess I would say our assessment at the CIA is that I wouldn't underestimate President Xi's ambitions with regard to Taiwan. He's been pretty clear about that over the years. I think he has watched very carefully. It seems to us Putin's experience in Ukraine and been a little bit unsettled and sobered by that as well. We know as a matter of intelligence, he has instructed the People's Liberation Army to be ready by 2027 to conduct a successful invasion, end quote. While a war is still certainly unsettling just to think about it, it's also unsettling to see government officials who move so slowly on what they can do for Social Security, for SSI, for SSDI, especially when it's predicted that funds for these benefits, they're fast running out. Now with that, former Vice President Mike Pence is calling out for leaders who can advise the older generation that benefits will actually remain intact and that the younger generation will have better choices for the future. He added, quote, "I think it's absolutely essential that we generate leadership in this country that will be straight with the American people, that will take us off this trajectory of massive debt that we're piling on the backs of those grandchildren, and says there is a way back. There are modest reforms and entitlements that can be done without disadvantaging anybody at the point of the need," end quote. With those on Social Security always kept on edge by the government regarding their benefits, I agree that someone has to step up and tell everybody that this will be taken care of. But to be honest, they may just keep us waiting until this becomes an urgent problem that only they can solve. You know what I mean? Now, speaking of problems, Southwest Airlines is also giving us worrying news. The airlines is now reducing the number of hours pilots must have spent flying jets and other turbine-powered aircraft, which ultimately means that they're now accepting applicants with less than 1,000 hours of flying, certainly lowering the standards. Now, according to them, quote, "Our robust and vigorous flight operations training program has not changed, and all current and future list officer candidates must pass all elements of the curriculum prior to flying for Southwest. As this recruiting change is aligned with hiring at or above FAA requirements, we'll continue selecting competitively qualified, world-class aviators who demonstrate extensive flight experience, professionalism, and Southwest's values," end quote. I don't know, guys. Does this convince you to want to continue to fly with Southwest? Or would any of you rather drive to your destination now? Now, I'm pretty sure that there's not many professions that need robust experience as much as pilots do, maybe doctors too, since they're holding the lives of each passenger that they fly for. But hey, what do I know? These guys are the experts. And in some good news, oil prices continue to trend downward, and I've been seeing the averages of gas go a little bit down, but slowly. U.S. crude oil and fuel inventories are going up. In fact, it went up recently to its highest level since June 2021. What about you guys? Are you feeling any relief in the gas prices in your area? Even though gas prices continue to dip, the price of goods are still at catastrophic levels. It's hard to say how anybody can afford to maintain a normal lifestyle with these prices. Now, if you ask me though, there are plenty of ways to overcome these challenges. One of them is budgeting. It may not be as talked about as much, but it's a very underrated skill that many people don't have. In terms of cash flow, it's hard to beat having multiple streams of income. That is attainable through side hustles, small businesses, online companies, drop shipping, affiliate marketing, dividend paying stocks, dividend paying ETFs, REITs, you name it. If you want to become an investor though, there's no better place than real estate or the stock market. Does any of this interest you? Do you want financial freedom? Well, if you're interested in any of these things, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. There's a link in the description down below this video. I love hanging out with you guys and discussing these topics. But before I go, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video. Subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate you guys watching. Be kind to one another, and I'll see you on the next video.